Leave is sought to table that press release. Is there any objection? No, there's no objection. Question number 2, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker,
the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
My question is to the Prime Minister. Is it his policy as Prime Minister to save jobs and to protect the most vulnerable from the effects of the recession?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes, unlike the Leader of the Opposition, I do care about saving jobs for New Zealanders. And this government cares so much that it's actually undertaken a number of programs. They include the Restart Package, the Small Business Package, the 9-day fortnight, $2.5 million of additional promotion of New Zealand tourism in Australia, the reform of the RMA, of course tax cuts, and actually, yes, Mr Carter, the cycle track will also see people employed, and don't worry, you'll enjoy riding on it.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, what credibility does the Prime Minister have in telling New Zealanders struggling to make ends meet that they should donate their tax cuts to charity to help those in need, when his own government has done absolutely the opposite, slashing tax cuts legislated by Labor for those on lower incomes, which would have helped those people directly?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, I happen to personally believe in giving, and I think it's a good message for New Zealanders who may not need to spend their tax cuts or may not want to save their tax cuts to give it away. But let me just make 2 points, Mr Speaker. The first of them is, when National announced this policy in opposition, it was greeted by the then Minister of the Labor government, Steve Mahari, as Tory charity. Some weeks later, it turned up in the budget for Michael Cullen. That's how much they thought of it. When they actually heard about it from National, they liked it. And the second point I'd make, Mr Speaker, is simply this one. Mr Goff is rapidly losing the title of being fill-in, but he's certainly not going to be thought of as philanthropic, that's for sure, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Speaker, I expected you to intervene on that. You have already ruled that comment out in the House, and I expect that when people address members in a way that you've already ruled out, we should not have to intervene.
The order. We are considering a point of order. Both sides of the House might reflect on that. I think the Honourable Trevor Mallard has made a perfectly valid point in his point of order that members should not be referred to by inappropriate names. I'm sure the Prime Minister would have no problem in withdrawing that comment. I asked him to withdraw that, the use of that inappropriate language.
Mr Speaker, I withdraw.
Thank you. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, does he accept the argument that focusing tax cuts on those in greatest need would have been fairer and also would have been most effective in stimulating demand and saving jobs and businesses, as economists and people like Rob Fyfe and Stephen Tindall have pointed out to him directly?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, well, firstly, Rob Fyfe is a great bloke, but he's not an economist. And the second point is that I agree with the way that the package is structured. It will be good for New Zealand. It will be good for growth in this country. And unlike the government he was a member of, we New Zealanders haven't had to wait 9 years for a tax cut under our government.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, does he accept that people in streets like McGeehan Close, the people about whom he professed so much concern before the election, will be the people most vulnerable to losing their jobs at the present time, and will also be the people that get absolutely nothing from the tax cuts that he has legislated for? If so, where is the evidence that he was sincere about his earlier professed concern?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, well, 2 points. Actually, it's not true that people in McGeehan Close won't get a tax cut. Oh, no, it's not, actually. For a start off, if they get an independent earners rebate, they'll get $10 a week, so they'll certainly get something. And secondly, I might add that the Leader of the Opposition should go and have a look at the Restart program, because the way the Restart program works, if somebody loses their job living in McGeehan Close, they'll be getting $160 a week. Under the Labor package, if they were a multi-millionaire and their spouse lost their job and they continued in the job paying $2 million a year, they would have got something under Labor, but absolutely nothing if they were a low-income person living in Magean Close. The party that cares actually about all New Zealanders is on this side of the House.
Sue Bradford.
Does the Prime Minister, does the Prime Minister agree that insulating cold, damp houses and comprehensively improving their energy efficiency is good for our economy, good for workers and good for health?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes, I do agree that insulating housing is good for the economy and good for health.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, does he accept that the people in Magean Close, most of them being families with dependent children earning under $40,000, will get absolutely nothing from his tax cuts?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, no, I don't accept that.
Sue Bradford.
Has the government done any work on assessing the likely...
Order. The member at the back of the chamber has the floor, and it's a little harder to hear from the back of the chamber. Sue Bradford.
To the Prime Minister, has the government done any work on assessing the likely job losses that are likely to happen in the wake of possible funding cuts to the community and voluntary sector? For example, if MSD's Pathways to Partnership program is cancelled.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I've certainly considered, and the government has considered, the impact on the voluntary sector. And one of the reasons I spoke at the philanthropic conference last week and said if New Zealanders want to give to all sorts of great charities out there, that will help.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
What's the latest estimate that he's received from his officials on the cost of the proposed Cape Reinga to Bluff bicycle lane and the number of jobs that it will create?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I haven't had any updates in recent weeks.
Sue Bradford.
Does the Prime Minister agree that the community and voluntary sector plays a vital role in society, both in terms of jobs created and the work it carries out? And if so, what steps will he take to ensure funding stability for organisations whose work is actually going to be needed more than ever in this time of recession? The
Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, yes, and the government is in negotiations and discussions with the community and voluntary sector to make sure that they are in the best shape they can be, given the circumstances they face, which are difficult for everyone.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Will he support the call by the Northern Employers and Manufacturers Association for workers to cash up 2 weeks of their annual leave, given his support in this House for the US position of only having 2 weeks annual leave entitlements for workers?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
No, I won't, and I've made it quite clear. I think it makes sense for people to potentially have the choice to cash in their 4th week. That will give them a 2% pay increase, so they may choose to want to do that. Of course, most workers will choose not to do that, but this party believes in choice, something the New Zealand public was robbed of for 9 years.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker.
Is it a supplementary or point of order?
No, it's a point of order.
Point of order.
Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I understood that members weren't to interject on points of order.
The member is absolutely right, and there will be silence if he could proceed with his point of order, please.
Thank you. I seek the leave of the House to table this document where Mr. Key says that the 4 weeks annual leave is a retrograde step and he supports the American position of 2 weeks holiday.
Order. What's not clear is what
the document is Hansard from the 16th of December 2003, the third reading of the Holidays Bill.
Thank you. Leave is sought to table a Hansard. Is there any objection? There is.